October 27, 2024, former US President Trump held a massive rally at Madison Square Garden in New York, kicking off the final week of his election campaign. At the same time, multiple forecast websites across the United States show that Trump is already ahead of Harris in the odds of winning, and the stock price of his media company Truth Social has skyrocketed by more than 100% in the past month. Behind this is Wall Street capital betting on the outcome of the November 5th election. And this type of bet is a trading strategy that all of Wall Street's financial institutions are now employing, called the Trump trade. By analyzing Trump's policies and ideas, they use capital to bet on the asset classes that would benefit from his election. So, if Trump is elected, which assets will be the biggest winners? Today, Abao will take you from stocks to bonds, from the US dollar to gold, and then to Bitcoin, to give you a comprehensive analysis from the perspective of a Wall Street professional. The content is solid, so remember to like and save it first. Alright, so first, we need to be clear on one thing, and that is the economic policies pushed by Trump have three main aspects. 1. Liberalizing energy production. 2. Tax cuts. And 3. Deregulation of businesses. So with that concept in mind, let's first take a look at the US stock market, which everyone is most concerned about. I will analyze it step by step, industry by industry. First, traditional fossil fuels are widely believed to be one of the sectors that will benefit greatly if Trump is elected. Trump's policies favor supporting domestic fossil fuel production in the United States because these policies are designed to reduce regulatory requirements, thereby lowering costs and further promoting the development of oil and natural gas. Therefore, a victory for Trump could immediately trigger a sharp short-term rise in oil stocks. On the other hand, Harris's policies are more supportive of clean energy, as she would continue to implement the Inflation Reduction Act signed by Biden in 2022. This act provides subsidies for solar, wind, battery, and electric vehicle companies, so a victory for Harris would most likely cause a rapid, short-term surge in clean energy-related stocks. Next, let's talk about the financial industry. In 2018, during the Trump administration, the Dodd-Frank Act was partially weakened, and this act was a series of regulations introduced after the 2008 financial crisis to reduce systemic risk. We have reason to believe that if Trump is re-elected, he is very likely to continue pushing for financial deregulation. So reduced regulation means significantly lower compliance costs for financial institutions, allowing for more flexible credit issuance, investment, and expansion of other business. Therefore, in the short term, this move will undoubtedly be a major boon for the US financial industry. But in the long run, weakening the regulation of financial institutions could exacerbate systemic risk, and that was one of the triggers of the 2008 financial crisis. Now let's look at national defense. Looking at historical data, Trump's administration has a tendency to increase defense spending and advance military modernization. Shortly after President Trump took office in 2016, with the support of a Republican-controlled Congress, the defense budget for the 2017 to 2019 fiscal years was increased by more than $100 billion. And during his first term, the stocks of major military contractors rose more than 40%, outperforming the S&P 500 index. And now, with technology ruling the day and artificial intelligence technology growing stronger, AI companies related to defense will also benefit. Related companies such as Palantir Technologies, PLTR, as a leading national defense stock in the AI era, it combines the concepts of both AI and national defense. In the past few years, whether it's Russia and Ukraine at war or Israel and Iran at war, as soon as there is a geopolitical conflict, this stock will skyrocket. And Trump's election is definitely good news for the national defense sector and its related companies. Finally, let's talk about the technology sector. The good news from Trump for the tech sector lies in his tax cut policies. But at the same time, Trump's trade policies, which include increased tariffs and restrictions on technology exports, could negatively impact tech companies that rely heavily on global supply chains or have significant business in the Chinese market. So the specific impact varies from company to company. And IBKR will continue to update my views on leading tech companies in future videos. Here, let's first focus on two companies, DJT and Tesla. Trump's company, DJT, is named after his full name, Donald J. Trump. Talk about being narcissistic. This company is the parent company of Truth Social, the social media platform Trump built himself after being kicked off Twitter. A company under the name of a future president. With the increasing probability of his election as of October 29th, DJT's stock had surged more than 200% in that month. Many hedge funds on Wall Street have bet on this company. But at the same time, IBKR must also remind everyone that when a stock is priced to perfection, meaning the current price has already fully factored in the market's expectations for future growth and good news, bad news is sure to follow. Once Trump is elected, a large number of institutions will likely choose to sell the news, which means selling at a high price to lock in their profits. And from October 29th to November 1st, when we made this video, DJT's share price had already fallen by more than 30%. Does this also imply that many investors have already withdrawn in advance? Another company, one that has always had a strong presence, is Tesla. As a major sponsor of the Trump campaign, Musk is giving away $1 million of his own money every day to a random lucky audience member to support Trump's campaign. He even claimed in an interview that if Trump loses the election, he himself could go to jail and that he might even give Starlink to Russia. Tesla, as a company under Musk, has its fate and Trump's electoral success or failure already firmly tied together. You could say they rise and fall together. For bonds, let's start with the conclusion. Short-term US Treasury rates will fall and long-term rates will rise. The current short-term rate is 4.75%. On the timeline, we have the US election on November 5th, and the Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates on November 7th. IBKR can tell you very clearly here that the rate cut this time will be 0.25%. A Fed rate cut is, in effect, a lowering of short-term interest rates. So if Trump is elected, short-term government bond rates are certain to fall. As for long-term government bond rates, let's say the 30-year rate, the prevailing view on Wall Street is that they will rise. This is because Trump's policies, such as increased fiscal spending and tax cuts, could lead to higher inflation and larger budget deficits. These factors usually lead to higher yields on long-term bonds. So for us ordinary investors, this means bank deposit rates will become less attractive. So in order to achieve higher returns, we'll see a lot of capital from short-term government bonds flowing into long-term government bonds or the stock market. Trump's policies will create economic instability, for example, trade tensions and the increase in the fiscal deficit. These factors usually lead investors to turn to safe haven assets like gold. During his first term in office, the price of gold rose significantly. So we have reason to believe that if Trump is re-elected, under the pressure of economic instability and inflation, this could lead to further increases in the price of gold. Trump and his vice presidential candidate Vance have more than once accused countries like China of destroying American manufacturing by artificially depressing their currency exchange rates. So they've promised to devalue the dollar, bringing manufacturing back to the United States. So why is a currency's exchange rate so important for the development of manufacturing? Let me, Bao, give you a quick explainer. When a country's currency depreciates, its goods become relatively cheaper on the international market. Its competitiveness also increases, which in turn boosts demand for its exports. This increase in demand often leads to higher production, fostering the development of manufacturing and creating more jobs. However, Wall Street generally believes that it will be very difficult to achieve this goal. First, Trump's plan to cut corporate taxes will attract more overseas capital into US stocks, increasing the demand for dollars and pushing up the exchange rate. Second, Trump's raising tariffs on imported goods will also cause the dollar to appreciate because consumers won't spend as much money on imported goods. Additionally, the economic impact of tariffs on export-reliant countries is far greater than the impact on the United States. This makes investors more likely to hold dollars. So I, Bao, believe that the dollar will most likely strengthen during Trump's term. Finally, let's talk about Bitcoin. This July, Trump was the keynote speaker at the year's largest Bitcoin forum held in Tennessee. He declared that if elected, he would promise to fire the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler, on his first day in office. This move resonated strongly within the crypto community because over the past few years, Gensler has subjected the crypto industry to very strict regulations through litigation and regulatory actions, so he has not been popular in the crypto community. And Trump further promised to establish a national-level Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Center. This shows his emphasis on Bitcoin. So Trump's election will be good for Bitcoin, and that's why over the past few weeks, the price of Bitcoin has climbed all the way to $72,000, close to its all-time high. So at the end, I hope that all of you watching, no matter what asset class you decide to invest in, will be careful and cautious. As long as it's an investment, there will be risk. And if there's risk, your life will be unhappy. Okay, if you like my video, remember to follow me. See you next time.